Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Dig Deep with Dragonfly podcast. This is so crazy. I can't even believe that I'm filming this right now, and I'm so excited for you guys to kind of get to know me a little bit as your host, and then we can get into all of my people that will be on it, and I'm so excited. So you guys sent in some questions for me to answer for you kind of to get to know me a little bit better. So let's start out with, what is this podcast about? Basically, it's going to be anything mental health related, student athlete related, and just talking about life. If you can't tell, I'm in very cozy clothes. I'm sitting in a chair with a blanket on. I want this to be very casual. I want you guys to feel at home and safe when you're listening to this podcast, so you can kind of just expect to feel like you're a part of this big family with Dragonfly. Okay, so what is my major? I'm a media studies major, which means I kind of do film, media, photography, and all of that kind of meshes into one under media studies. So it's under communications, but mostly social media and videography and stuff like that. What's my favorite class? Okay, this past semester I took one of hands down one of my favorite classes. It was called content creation, which obviously is right up my alley. It was literally so perfect. We got to create a lot of different videos, and for my final project I got to create a letter to my younger self, and that was hands down one of my favorite videos that I've ever created ever in my entire life. It was just so cool, and so that was literally the best class ever, and I wish I could take it 5 times over. Okay, how did I get recruited? So, as some of you might know, I'm playing my 5th year for Wisconsin, but I played my first 4 years of volleyball at Northern Illinois University. That's where I currently am. I'm finishing up here in May, and then I'll head to Wisconsin. But I got recruited during my junior year of high school, and it was okay. I had a couple different schools interested in me, but nothing too crazy. And then NIU kind of entered the picture. My older brother Michael played football here for a couple years, and so I kind of knew the campus. I kind of knew different people around here, so I was okay, I could see this being a fit. And so one of the assistant coaches reached out to me, and from there we kind of started the process, and then another assistant coach kind of finished it during my senior year because COVID hit, and so that kind of put a halt to my recruiting process. But yeah, so ultimately I ended up committing here during my senior year around oh my goodness, it was kind of late, but it was in the fall. So the fall of my senior year, and then I ended up here for 4 years, and now I'm going to play my 5th year for Wisconsin, which I'm so excited about, which we'll talk about later because a lot of you guys had a lot of questions about that. So, okay, what is your favorite volleyball memory? Okay, so every time I'm asked this question, I think of the exact same scenario every single time, and that was my junior year. We were playing at Bowling Green, and they were the reigning MAC champs that year, and so we were okay, we gotta beat them. It would be so cool. It was one of our very first games of the MAC conference in August or something like that. And the crowd was insane, their student section was insane, and we ended up beating them in 5, and it was the most electric game I had ever been a part of. Somehow I had made it to the front row, which at some point we can maybe talk about that, but I was literally in the middle, in the front row, and we somehow still ended up winning that game. It was just so insane. But yeah, that was the best memory for sure. Okay, why did you choose to go to Wisconsin for your 5th year? So, like I said before, you guys had a lot of questions about this, which I could talk about this literally for days, but ultimately it is literally just a dream come true. I still can't believe that I get to say that I'm a Badger volleyball player, because it has literally been my dream since I was 3 years old. From the time I could walk, I had a volleyball in my hand. My mom played volleyball there, my dad played hockey there, my brother played football there. So to say it kind of runs in the family would be a little bit of an understatement. And so it was just so surreal for Coach Kelly to call me and be do you want to be a part of this program? And I was absolutely, I do. And then from there on out, here I am. I'm living my dream. It's so insane, and I cannot wait to get on campus and start playing. I'll go there in May, and so I'll be there starting in the summer, which I'm so excited about. Okay, next question about that is how long have you been planning on transferring to Wisconsin? So it all happened like 3 weeks before I got to announce it, and it was like eating me alive not being able to like post on like all my social media platforms because like obviously as you guys know I'm very like social media, like that's like my thing, like social media is my thing, and so like having to keep that secret in for so long was like one of the hardest things I've ever done. And so I guess to answer the question, how long have you been planning on transferring to Wisconsin? It was like 3 weeks before I announced it, but like again, as I said, like it's a dream come true, so I kind of always like hoped I would finish my career there, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was really hard to like be able to hold that secret in. And then next thing, so many questions about Wisconsin, but what is most special about playing for the Badgers? So, as I said before, I don't start playing for them until the summer, so I haven't actually been a part of the program like as a player quite yet, but I think being from Wisconsin, being from Madison, like I can speak to how things are run, what it means to be a Badger, and I think the most special thing about it is like how deeply rooted the fan base is for Wisconsin volleyball. Like I would say that Wisconsin volleyball is a top runner for like the best sport at Wisconsin, and all the other athletes, please don't come for me if you disagree, but I think in Madison, if you're a Wisconsin volleyball player, like you are known and you are loved and you are like a part of this big family, and so I'm just like so excited to be a part of that. And then I can speak on what it's like to like play for them, but yeah, I'm like so excited. Okay, next question. Next question is, do you like hustle plays or digs more? See, I want to say, okay, I love digs, like a hard driven ball like straight to your platform, like that's like so satisfying when you make huge digs. But I think hustle plays are cooler because like if you run down across half the gym and you get a ball up for your setter and you like somehow your hitter like makes a huge kill, like I think that's so cool. And so I would say hustle plays for sure, but that's a tough one. That was a good question. Okay, next question. What have you found hardest being a student athlete? Okay, I could probably make a whole episode about this question, which I'm sure like we will at some point when I have guests on here, but oh boy. I would say I would say how tough it is to balance everything going on in your life, from trying to have a social life, you have to make good grades, and then you have to be an athlete. It's almost like you have to be an athlete before you're anything else, which can like be very difficult, and it's hard, but it teaches you a lot of things. I don't know, it's just very mentally draining at times, even though like what you might see on social media looks so glamorous and so cool, and like, oh, I want to have that life. You don't always see like the behind the scenes things, which is part of the reason why I want to make this podcast for Dragonfly, because I want to talk about the hard things, not just the cool and glamorous things. But yeah, I would say just like trying to manage all the different things going on in your life. Which leads me into the next question, which is, have you ever wanted to quit or felt like you're not good enough? And how did you overcome it? Short answer, yes. I talked about this with the letter to my younger self, and how like growing up I would play with the older girls, and sometimes I just like didn't feel like I was good enough to be playing with them, or just like good enough to be playing the sport of volleyball that I loved. Even though it was like my whole life, I still feel like I wasn't doing enough. But how did I overcome that? I would say like reminding myself of the why. Like, why did I start playing volleyball? Why did I fall in love with the sport? Because oftentimes you can get so wrapped up in like what's going on like right in front of you, you can't see how far you've come since you started, if that makes sense. So really just reminding yourself like, why did I fall in love with the sport? And you know, like over time, if that love changes, that's okay. And if you need to take a step away from the sport, that's also okay. But I think for me, like it really helped just reminding myself of like, I play this sport because little Jada would want me to continue playing, and she would think like me now is like the coolest person ever. So just keeping that in mind and like speaking to myself how I would want to speak to 5-year-old Jada is like so important, and that's what I continue to do. Okay, next question. How do you refocus on, okay, rewind, hello. How do you refocus yourself on or off the court when things don't go your way? Okay, this is a really good one. I would say, let's start with on the court and then we'll talk about off the court. I think on the court, I do a lot of hand squeezes with my teammates because it calms me down, gives me something to focus on other than like my thoughts racing. And so like I'll grab one of my teammates' hands, squeeze it for like 2 seconds, walk away, and I'll like, it's a kind of like a reset for me. And then for off the court, I would say just hang out with like my best friends. I like to talk about things and kind of get it off my chest instead of like it circling in my head so much. So yeah, just hanging out with them because they make me feel at peace and kind of just take my mind off of the sport. Okay, kind of a fun question. What's on your bucket list? This is good because I actually don't have a bucket list and I should probably create one thinking about this now. But I feel like my go-to answer anytime anyone asks me something like this is I want to go to Italy. I think Italy is so beautiful and I'm Italian, so like it would be like fitting or whatever. But I think that would be so cool. Just like travel the country. I've never been outside of the US, so I think that would be super cool. So yeah, maybe that's my sign to create a bucket list. Whoopsie. Okay, and then last question. What is one goal you have for yourself this semester? Okay, this is really good because this semester is very different for me. I'm doing a lot of things that I've never done before, and I'm in a season where volleyball is not consuming my life right now because being in the portal and then committing somewhere for my 5th year like later after school had started, I'm not at my new school yet. So right now I'm just like working out and doing volleyball when I can and just like focusing on like growing myself more than anything right now. And so I would say the one goal I have is to do things that make me uncomfortable. I think committing to Wisconsin and following my dream is like such a huge deal, but it's definitely not easy all the time. I would say like I struggle with imposter syndrome, if that makes sense. Sometimes I feel like do I belong here? Am I supposed to be a Wisconsin volleyball player? Like stuff like that, because I've grown up around it and I've like seen it from such a young age. I'm like, wow, how am I a part of this right now? Like I need to live up to all these people that came before me. But I think reminding myself like I'm here for a reason, putting myself in uncomfortable situations to grow, not only physically but mentally, is going to be a huge deal, at least this semester and then the coming like whole year next year when I'm in Madison. But yeah, I would say to sum it up, put myself in uncomfortable situations to force myself to grow would be my one goal for the semester. But yeah, I hope you guys started to learn a little bit more about me. Next episode, I'm going to have a guest on. I'm not sure who that's going to be yet, but you will soon know, and I'm so excited about it. But continue to send in questions when I post about it because I want to interact with you guys and I want you guys to get to know me, but I also want to get to know you guys. So let's work together and let's create this little family of Dragonfly people. But yes, I'm so excited. Wow, I've never like created a podcast before, so I don't even like know how to end this for real. Like I always like do vlogs and stuff and I like edit that different, but yeah, this is so awesome. I love this. And it's so chill. Like I'm just like in my basement with a blanket and a pillow just chatting with you guys. Like this is so awesome. But yeah, I hope you guys learned a little bit more about me and I cannot wait for the next episode. Bye.